right, everybody.
Well, it's great to have you here. So the movie premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival last September, but your relationship, your collaboration goes back many, many years. The one I love is a personal fave that you produced and you were in. But how did this come for you to write this together? How did that come about, and then for you to direct?
Yeah, you want to start?
Yeah. So I had this sort of initial germ of an idea of these two guys, and they're in a dome, and they're fiercely arguing about Super Mario Brothers, and they have nothing better to do. And I'm a big like instinct person. Like I didn't know what the themes were going to be. I just sort of started cranking with that. And I was like, yeah, okay, that could be survival. But I don't know. I don't really know what this is going to be. And so Mel's been running my company for the last, I don't know, 8 years or so. We've been working together for a long time, since when we were making movies with Clint Shelton years ago. So we were doing like a little retreat at Palm Springs, and I was like, I kind of ran out of ideas on this movie, so like, I think it's dead. And I was like, well, hold on a second. Like, let me look at it, you know? And so I think what I realized, sort of, now that I look at it, is like, with those two guys arguing, I think, you know, I grew up in the South. I went to an all-male Jesuit high school. I was taught that, like, you are our future, you are the best and the brightest, and you must lead with your strength and your ideally enormous penis leading you the whole way. Like, this was it, you know? And I've been like slowly unwinding that my whole life. And so I got that far with it, and then I was like, but I don't have more, so I gave it to Mel, who kind of was able to more successfully turn this movie into what it became.
Take it from there, Mel.
I mean, I always call Mark Duplass like the longest, oh my God, I was on such a path, and then I met Mark. And I took not a wrong turn, just a different turn. And then 10 years or so went by, and I was like, I forgot to direct the movie. But it was, and Mark always knew that. It was really great. He was always pitching me a lot of ideas, and I always say that Mark pitches like the best kernels, and then, you know, somebody else comes in and helps him kind of finish it. And this was the kernel that, like Mark said, when he pitched it and we talked about it and we threw all these ideas in, he's like, let me take a stab, and then he sent me that email that was like, I don't think there's anything here, and I was like, no dude, there is, and I feel it, and like, let me run with it. And the pandemic had just hit, and I was stuck at home, and you know, and we had an outline we'd kind of done together, and so just kind of took the first stab at it, and then we went back and forth, and I think it felt right too. You know, we talked a lot about if Mark was the right person to play this role. That was a big discussion, and once we'd settled on Mark, it felt right too that I direct something that felt so vulnerable with our relationship and trust.
Yeah, we've been looking for the right project for Mel to officially come on as a director, because she's been such like a critical creative part of our company. For those of you who have, like, you know, been on set with a very strong creative producer, we work with a lot of first-time directors. Mel is heavily involved, and so it's been this thing for us where it's like, I love Mel, I want to support her, I need her as the head of my company doing all this stuff, but how can she do that and still be fulfilled as a person and direct her own movie? So we had to be very, like, strategic about carving out the space for her to be able to do this and still uphold everything. So yeah, it's hard to be like the mom and the director. So,
Yeah.
Well, when you started working on the film, you started writing it, and you said that once the pandemic hit, you know, you had a little more time to work on it. How did the pandemic, like, influence the direction that the screenplay eventually took?
I actually don't know if it did at all. Yeah, it was always two guys stuck in a room together. So I think I more was just like, yes, now the world will have a little bit more understanding like this. And it won't be so.
We'll just look smarter, like we designed it that way. But it was always
That's what I thought when I saw the movie.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
How did you know, you were sort of going back and forth, Mark, on whether or not you were going to play Billy, but did you decide to, you know what, I am going to play Billy?